I've been with no sleep for like 5 days, living this life just for Friday. I don't like rules, I do it my way. Everywhere I go they say my name, DJ.
And welcome back to 605 Crypto with Travis B. So let's check in with the markets today. Bitcoin down a little bit from our last time we were with you. 42,000, still green overall, but you know, ETH always up there at the top. Good time to pack up on some ETH because you're going to need it for gas fees sooner or later. If you want to experiment or learn with anything that's going on with NFTs now, you're going to have some ETH, so just keep that in mind. Come down, it's a good time to stack up on your AVAX also. There's some NFTs available on the AVAX on the Avalanche network, but $87, great buy-in. You can just start by buying parts. You could put $10 in right now. You don't have to buy a whole AVAX. Polymatic, I like it at that price too. I'd pick up a little bit more at this price. I think it's going to pop up higher here. Polymatic is a Ethereum-based token that's based on, it tries to solve the problem of scaling in the Ethereum network. So keep an eye on Polymatic. You can swap between a whole lot of different cryptos with Poly. Keep an eye on Poly. Want to check back in with Proppy. You remember we were talking about Proppy dropping down to 250 the other day? Proppy actually did drop down to 250 yesterday, and the 250 range just about, and I caught it right about there, 258, and I decided, heck, I'm going to buy a few more. So I bought a few more, and I'm glad I did, because boom, look at that, right back up to 327. Now, we don't know how long that'll last, but I'm definitely not buying any more Proppy until we're back down in that 250 range, which might not be for a little while, but I'll just hold what I have. We'll talk about it later on. We'll see what the trend looks like. Maybe I sell it to a stable coin. Who knows? I'll keep you posted on what I do with Proppy. I want to check in on Helium and talk about Helium today. One of my favorite crypto projects, the People Network. We talked about it with the Deny list a couple days back. Helium's down for the day, $31. The most profitable crypto mining you can do right now is pretty much Helium mining. Based on your return on power consumption, if you're lucky enough to have a great location. So what I wanted to talk with you about is, are you a good candidate? Before you get into helium mining, you need to consider these facts, because you might not be a good candidate for helium based on your current living situation, because that's going to limit you a lot in what you can do in your earning potentials. The first thing you want to do before you try to buy anything is you want to go to explore.helium.com, and I'll put the link in the description below, and you want to find your location on this map. This is an interactive map of the of the world, and you're going to try to find your location, and you're going to see these hexes, and you're going to click on a hex. And you're going to look at the hex, and the details are provided. See, this is the People's Network. Everything's open. You can see what other miners in your location are making. Before you dump a lot of money into these, please, please, please look at your location and what your potential earnings might be. If your location isn't good where you live, what's your network of people? Do you have in-laws? Do you have parents? Do you have a brother and sister? Where can you deploy these? Trying to deploy them as a business, that gets kind of sticky and gets kind of challenging. But you can only really have one at your house, is the bottom line. You can have one per 300 meters. Yes, there's technical ways you can get around that. We're not going to discuss this here. This is tips and tricks and information you need to know if you're considering getting into the helium mining game. And as you can see here, Ancient Nylon Unicorn has a low transmit scale. That means that there's maybe more than one in their hex. So instead of having a transmit scale of 1, it's 0.32. Also, the hotspot's relayed. We'll talk about that shortly. So this is not a great example. Let's click on the hex right next door and see what our choice is here. Odd Snowy Anteater. And by the way, when you start a hotspot, it gets randomly named. You don't get to choose the name. It just randomly generates a name. My miners have some silly names. So if we look at odd snowy anteater here, that is also being it's a sub-transmit scale. You would really want your transmit scale to be 0.5 or higher, 1. I want mine to be 1. Synced. In the last 24 hours, this miner has made $3. If you look at the last week, $32. Look at the last month, takes it a second to process. So in a month, this device, old odd snowy anteater, has generated $121, which for the cost of a lot of these items, if you can get them from the manufacturer, that's not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. You figure a couple months at this, if you spent $500 to $600 on a mining device, you can get your return on investment within a couple months, and that's always good. Anybody that's looked into going into business, if you can get your return on investment within a couple months, that's great. In some situations, you can even get this within a month. So you need to look in your area, you need to look around, you need to survey the situation, you need to look at a bunch of hot spots, and you need to find out what your earning potential is. If you are up high and you have a lot of hot spots around you, that is awesome. Now, it looks like we have some mountains over here, so let's check in over here and see if we can pick up one of these here. Nope, 0.23, 3.1. Again, you're also going to be limited by how many hot spots are in your area. So, you may be high up. Oh, here's a good one. Boxy Ginger Lark. They look like they're up on this mountain range here, so they're going to talk to a lot of hot spots. And look at all those hot spots that this machine is talking to. Old Boxy Ginger is talking to all sorts. I mean, and that just shows you what elevation will do. I mean, there's some long distance all the way up to Fort Collins. So I'm looking at Colorado here. But up on this mountainside, all the way up there. That's amazing. So in 24 hours, 0.54 of a helium. Helium's going for $31. You do the math. This is looking pretty good. If we look at the 30-day earnings on this spot, $466. That's not bad. I'd take that in any deal. The next thing you want to consider, and this one caught me off guard. I thought I had considered everything. Let's look at your internet service provider. Some are more friendly than others. Do you rent a modem from your internet service provider, or did you buy your own? Now, in my situation, I own my own router. This was no problem for me. But if you do not have the ability to open up ports on your own modem, and you have to rely on your ISP, which might be one of these less than stellar companies. All right, I can't speak for Verizon because I don't have them right now, or I've never had them for internet. I would love to have Fios. I don't. I'm stuck with Xfinity. Xfinity, fortunately for me, I have my own modem. I was able to do what I need to do, but you're going to need to be able to port forward port 44158. If you can't do that, you're going to be in relay mode, and then you're not going to have the earnings that you can earn. If you're in relay mode, that means that your hotspot's not talking directly to the internet. It's going to have to relay through other hotspots around you, and that actually puts a tax. Well, taxes the performance, rather, of those hotspots. So you don't want to be in relay mode. You're not going to make as much money. Do everything you can to make sure that you have the ability to port forward in your router. So you need to know how to port forward. Consider this. It's not a big deal. If you've installed your own router, you already know how to do this. I really don't need to tell you this, but you're going to port forward port 44158. All right. So your choices right now to get a helium miner. A year and a half ago, you used to be able to build your own, so I would take that route. I like to build my own things. I get satisfaction out of that. You don't have that option anymore. You have to buy from a vendor. The vendors have been less than stellar. Now, Minted, which is by Rack Wireless, has started the system of doing drops. As I mentioned, the last drop that they did was horrific. I don't think anybody ended up even getting anything. Even if your order went through, it was such a nightmare that nothing worked. So you can sign up at the Minted site for and they'll give you a heads up, and it might just be a couple hours before they do a drop. So if you want to get one new for a decent price, and you can usually snag the black hotspot for, I believe, 400. The gold is closer to 500. The gold has better memory. I always figure everybody's going to go for the black, so I just go for the gold. Sign up for the newsletter at Minted. No, they're not paying me to pitch this. I'm not even happy with their support and performance, but this is the most realistic way you're going to get one. Sign up for the newsletter. They give you a heads up. Then you're going to have to open a couple browsers, have your credit cards ready, and you're off to the races. When the drop happens, you just have to keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Another option you have is you can go with Bobcat, which is widely regarded as one of the best miners around and one of the most reputable companies. You're supposedly, if you pre-order, and I said pre-order, because if you order right now with Bobcat, you're not going to see this for a long, long time. But Bobcat, they're kind of veterans in this game, and they are the most reputable, and they are some of the best performing hotspots. Now, myself, I pre-ordered a Bobcat for the 400 USD coin or whatever it was. That was back in October. I can expect to maybe see mine. Wishful thinking is maybe July. I don't know. I was hoping really in April at first, but keeping up on the updates with Bobcat, they're so far behind because so many people want these things. The good news is I think they're shipping the ones now with a SD card upgrade and a RAM upgrade, or it's one or the other. Don't hold me to that. They're not paying me to pitch this, but this is one of your choices. You can order now. They will take a pre-order. There's several other companies you can pre-order with, but the pre-orders are all about the same case as Bobcat. So if you're going to order, just order with Bobcat because they're the most reputable. You're going to get it if you order with them. It might be in a year, but you're going to get it. I've been happy with Minted. I have a couple Minted devices. The first one I was able to snag one on a drop, and that was relatively painless. The last drop it took a little more. But also consider if you're going to have more, you have to have a place to deploy them. So please, you're going to have to consider locations. So make sure you have good locations that have good potential earnings before you deploy your miners, before you spend a lot of money. Because the other option that you're going to have here, which is not great, is the eBay 1621. Okay? So are you going to pay the 400 and wait and be patient? Or are you going to get on eBay and grab the $1,600 one? If you have potential or earnings, if you're somewhere where you can make a lot of money and you can make that back in a month or two, maybe that's what you want to do. I don't know. Please look at your location. All right, another thing you want to consider, you don't want to leave the stock antenna on these things. You know, the stock antenna that comes with the racks, at least I've gotten the Minted versions, are these little guys. You want to get an 8 dBi or a 5 dBi. Check out Amazon. Look at the reviews. I'm not going to tell you which one to buy. You can figure it out. You can buy junk. I bought one I'm not happy with. It is what it is. I do like the 8 dBi. Depending on your terrain, maybe a 5 dBi, maybe a 4.5 dBi. You do the research. More or less, the higher the dBi, the higher your output is. So if you're on flat land, higher dBi is better. If you're in the mountains or have trees or have a lot of line of sight issues, a lower dBi because it encompasses more of a bubble around you rather than a kind of a laser beam going out. These are all things to consider before you get into the helium game. I wish somebody had told me about them. I've lived and learned through them so I could share it with you. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I can probably pitch in. I got to give Kells Crypto a big shout out because he's the one that told me about helium mining. I should have got into it when he told me about a year ago, but I was like, this is crazy. I don't know what he's talking about, these magic sky tokens. And see, he ordered his Bobcat and has it already. So I delayed and didn't get on it, but I lucked out and got a couple of these drops. All right, so shout out to Kells Crypto. I hope your mining's going good in your area, brother. Mine's going great down where I'm at. I'm hoping to expand. We'll see. I haven't heard about any drops from Minted lately. And remember, your only limit is your mind. And as the first comment on here says, change your mindset, change your life. I'm working on changing my life. What are you doing? This is Travis B with 605 Crypto. If you made it this far, please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
I've been making beats since 3:30 a.m. I am in my own league, in my own lane. I do my own thing in the back cave like Bruce Wayne. The only ones talking down are no names. I'm in the business of putting people out of business. Your other DJ should ask for forgiveness. You are witness in the making of a legend. I ain't there yet, but I'll be there in a second. And everywhere I go, they say my name.